Hello, I'm Crystal Toll. I'm a physical therapist, and I'm also a mother of 3 children, two who do attend Richards and another that's on his way to Richards. So we'll be at Richards School for about 8 more years. There's so much more that could be done in this space, and some new creative ideas could be brought in and make it really beneficial and usable for the kids. So there's a couple of plans that have been created, and these by no means are set in stone, but just ideas of looking at things that could be done in the Richards backyard, and I'd just like to talk through a couple of them now. First, right here on this piece, the thing that's most striking to me is this climbing net, this red cargo climbing net structure. A structure like this is really nice for kids because it allows them to use upper body, shoulder, scapula, core strength to pull and bring themselves higher and around on the space. It also is unstable, and when you start using surfaces that are unstable or have that sway or bouncing to them, the kids have to fire their core muscles. It challenges their vestibular, their balance systems, their proprioception of where they are in space to get that timing, and using those systems appropriately is beneficial later on in sports and other activities. So climbing through something like that is a great challenge. A nice thing about the rope structure as well is that kids don't have to just pass through it. They can stop, they can hang out, they can tell stories, imaginary games, whatever they want to do. It's a place sort of to hang out up in a sort of a tree sort of position if they choose to. So I think something like that would be so great. And it's not something that they couldn't do in winter. You can have mittens on or gloves and climb through that, unlike a really cold, the harder metal structures that are often in the playgrounds in many of these days. So that's something I think, number one, is spectacular. Some of these other things here are also great and different than what's currently there. This log structure that turns and rolls, another great thing. It's something different underneath their feet. Their feet are going to be turning and have to adapt to an uneven surface, unlike the static rounds that are typically around what's at Richards. Right now, so much of the play structure at Richards is stationary and fixed, and that's fine and good, but it's some of these different challenges really would balance out and add to what the kids have. So that rolling log, adjusting to how to navigate and move along that. A child in a wheelchair could push their hands on that or spin it and see how fast they could go. So it could be used with hands. They could lay on it on their trunk and try to tip side to side, getting their balance and their core stabilizing muscles as well. Another great piece that is not anything like that's seen at Richards now is this sort of rotational tree. I know people think, oh my gosh, I'm going to spin and they're going to get sick, but something to spin not at those high rates of speed is great for kids. Really, all types of movement should be integrated and used in play activities. So rotation and spinning, it stimulates our vestibular system. Our vestibular system tells us where we are in space, helps keep us balanced and centered, and it's a type of movement that you don't see anywhere else here in the playground. So they could spin and move. They're using their arms to hold, activating those shoulder and scapular muscles. They could be playing a game of who could hold on longer and turning it side to side, back and forth, so you're getting a sort of an oscillation versus a continuous spin. So I think something like that would be totally great and beneficial. Looking at some of the different monkey bar options, monkey bars are great, and kids love those. This illustration shows some different patterns and figures of doing exercise movements similar to that standard monkey bar position. There's single rings and some monkey bars that have different angles and things, so really getting kids engaged and thinking and trying some different ways to be creative and grasp and move beyond just that standard straight plain monkey bar that maybe they're accustomed to. Another nice thing about a monkey bar structure like this is that kids could do this stuff without taking the mittens off in the winter. And I hear that from my daughter a lot, that she's pitching the mittens, just trying to do the monkey bars, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And when it gets really cold, it's not happening. Something like this, these are smaller bars. They're made of material that the kids can do with a mitten on and use this all year round to have that kind of challenge and enjoyment for them all year. These balance pods, there's some of these in the front yard, but the kids in the back aren't able to use those. These are great. These are on the poles that are uneven, a wobbly surface, and they're trying to climb across and navigate through there. Again, these wobbly surfaces are so nice because it's never the same play experience twice, because you never know what you're going to get when you're on it and somebody else is shaking it, and how are you going to respond to that? Your body's got to be quick and sharp to make those responses to keep yourself upright and traveling through. And you get those sharp responses by practicing them, and that's just it. By having kids get these experiences that are unusual and different and not just the common run around sorts of things, they're going to have better abilities to have great coordination, likely succeed better in different sorts of sporting activities later on. We're setting them up for having a really good body awareness and really good movement control patterns. So that's, again, another great thing about those pods there. Kind of deeper into this play structure, kind of between these different types of monkey bar patterns, there's some circular things to climb through and crawl through. Again, keeping kids not just on that upright, for a head up, getting them face first, crawling through. Different positions are great. That's another great thing about some of these climbing things. You don't have to always be vertical. You can climb into the side. You could hang upside down, and some of these bars hanging upside down. Again, these are all positions that as adults we sort of look past and say, when's the last time we've ever done anything like this? These are developmentally needed things for kids that they should do and should be encouraged to do, and given the outlet to do them at their school makes a lot of sense. Swings are a nice thing, and I don't know where swings stand on the table, but obviously in the Richards Yard, they're not there, and they're not there at a lot of play spaces, and that's unfortunate. Swinging has a very calming effect. We know that just developmentally, even from birth with a child, when you're rocking a baby, it's very calming and soothing, and that can be beneficial all through development, not just children. It's a play activity that kids can play fairly independently. You don't have to have somebody with you. It teaches core strength to keep yourself up as you have the momentum moving. You got to kick in and activate your core to keep yourself continuing that pumping movement, and learning that pumping is another great lower body skill to use with the timing of feeling your movement in space and knowing when to kick in the legs. So it's another nice thing. And perhaps if not a standard swing like this, something on the playground that had a swinging or a gentle swing motion, again, would be beneficial just for that reasoning of what those types of stimulus provide to our vestibular and proprioceptive systems, just our whole body awareness sense. So I think it would be a great thing. Another nice thing that I like about these plans, not any one plan in particular, but just in general, the way that these plans are laid out, I think is really key and nice. It's not just one clumped structure. There's things around and scattered, and that allows kids to run from place to place, play tag games, play imaginary games, run through the units, use them as objects or hurdles to get past while they're doing some other activity. That's encouraging more movement, that all that stuff that we can get in that multi-sport court by just running and playing, but now you've got some obstacles to climb over or swing along as you're running past to chase and catch up to a friend, which is really, really cool. Another group I think that would love something with the challenges that I've spoken of as the therapist within the district working with our children, allowing the kids to have some of these nice experiences to integrate their senses and give them some different sensory motor things to use in their rehabilitation and their therapy with what they're doing already in the village. I would love to see us use this space in a way that putting something in that there isn't a lot of in Whitefish Bay, and there isn't a lot of play spaces that speak to these dynamic challenges and the great winter uses that a new space like this could provide. Again, the things that are missing now is the dynamic uneven surfaces. They're not there. That would be a great thing to add. That's so important for overall well-rounded motor development and just sensory awareness of our environment. More options for using upper body strength. When it gets cold and icy and the snow falls, that pretty much stops out on the playground for so much of the time, because there's not enough places for kids to do that, or almost none right now in the backyard. So having something that kids can use core and upper body all year, I think, is a great thing. And then another piece that's really missing is a swinging, rotational types of movement patterns. Again, doesn't exist, and I think would be a great piece to add. So one last thing, the two public grade schools in Whitefish Bay, Richards and Cumberland in Whitefish Bay. Cumberland's got this great playground in the back, they've got this huge yard, and I think Richards can make something that's equal and maybe even better to Cumberland. Not that we're in competition, but I think it's so much more important at Richards because our space is so much smaller than Cumberland's, and I think Cumberland can maybe get it wrong a little bit or change things and adapt, but I feel like with such a small confounds that we have at Richards, we can't really afford to get it wrong. We need to get this right. We need to maximize the benefit of every square inch that's out there, because that's all we don't have a lot. So that's really, I think, why we need to really take the time to think this through and make sure that we're doing the right thing.